To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
A national emergency sounds like a big deal, and it is a big deal, but it's largely technical. We're not going to see emergency vehicles or U.S. troops up and down the streets in major cities and small towns across the country, but there will be more money, $50 billion for states. A lot of waivers were issued, so it is significant, and guess what? The stock market really liked it. Up 2,000 points on the news. Interesting thing. You didn't hear too much of that today on cable news. They were all about the down day yesterday, the record down day. But today didn't make as much of an impact, but still significant. Let's go through the numbers on coronavirus. In the country, we have a little over 2,269 cases. We'll say this. The CDC is reporting a different number right now. 1,629 cases, and just a little while ago they were at 41 deaths. So there are some discrepancies in the numbers. Let's go through the global numbers next, please. Around the world, 140,000 cases, deaths at over 5,000. Again, we have a state of emergency or a national emergency, but that does not mean you'll see troops mobilized or anything like that. But the president did go through what will happen. One thing, waiver regulations. It will give health facilities more flexibility to treat people. Remote treatment, we'll be seeing more of that. Also, some small items. There will be a waiver on interest for student loans, and testing will be sped up. That's been a critical issue here. They announced a deal with Roche, the Swiss healthcare giant. They'll be selling their kits to U.S. labs. So we'll see the tests. They promise a lot more of them, and the results will come in as little as 3.5 hours once they're administered. But the president himself, is he feeling coronavirus? Could he possibly have it? He says he doesn't have the symptoms, but he's not ruling out taking the test.
Are you being selfish by not getting tested and potentially
Well, I didn't say I
exposing-
wasn't going to be tested.
Are you going to be?
Most likely, yeah. Most
When do
likely.
you think
Not for
that'll
that
happen?
reason, but because I think I will do it anyway.
Will you let us know
fairly
the
soon.
results?
We're working on that. We're working out a schedule.
Okay, you heard that. There were reports that people with coronavirus may have been near the president over the past couple of weeks. Also, cutting red tape, that's important during a national emergency.
We'll remove or eliminate every obstacle necessary to deliver our people the care that they need and that they're entitled to. No resource will be spared, nothing whatsoever.
And the president trying to reassure the country that this crisis will someday be over.
Our overriding goal is to stop the spread of the virus and to help all Americans who have been impacted by this. Again, we don't want everybody taking this test. It's totally unnecessary. And this will pass. This will pass through, and we're going to be even stronger for it. We've learned a lot. Tremendous amount has been learned.
Again, surrounded by his task force there. Now you're going to hear from Dr. Deborah Birx. She's from the State Department. She's been the point person in fighting AIDS, but she's moved over to help with the coronavirus, and she summarized how the testing is all going to work out.
So we want to also announce this new approach to testing, which will start in the screening website up here, facilitated by Google, where clients and patients and people of interest can go, fill out a screening questionnaire, move down for symptoms or risk factors, yes. They would move down this and be told where the drive-through options would be for them to receive this test. The labs will then move to the high-throughput automated machines to be able to provide results in 24 to 36 hours. That is the intent of this approach. We have seen it work just in our own United States, and we want to bring this across the continent.
Okay, so states all across the country have states of emergency, and now we have a national emergency. The president mentioned that he was in touch with Governor Cuomo, who's been very visible during this crisis. We have a number of cases here in New York State, and the governor says the president has been a pleasure to work with.
I spoke with the vice president today, and I spoke with the president, and they are authorizing New York State to do the testing and allowing our labs to do the test. I want to thank the President and the Vice President for their receptivity to the idea. And I want to thank them for their quick turnaround. We have the authorization as of today.
Okay, and this is where it got a little bit interesting. The governor's comments were carried on live television on most of the cables this afternoon, and he talked about his fears and concerns about his family, his daughter and his mother. Heartfelt, but interesting and a little bit unusual.
It's my daughter. You know, that's everything to me. That's why I get up in the morning. If it was my mother may have been exposed, then I would be more concerned. So what am I doing? I'm taking more precautions with my mother. And I talk to her about it every day because, you know, I'm just a son and she knows better than I know, and she gave birth to me. So by definition, there's nothing that I could ever tell her in my life that is valuable because she gave birth to me. So by definition, I am just inherently inferior, which I understand and happens to be true.
All right, Governor Cuomo, interesting, and again, working well with the President of the United States. So we talked about the numbers. There are some notable patients at this point. Let's put them up on the screen if we can. These are the famous people that we've counted so far with the coronavirus. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, you've heard about that. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, the First Lady of Canada. So the Prime Minister of Canada, her husband there, they're both kind of quarantined together. I never heard of Mike Areta, but he's big in the soccer world. And then we got those two Utah Jazz players. We hope this will be a thing of the past very soon. President told us at one point that the heat of April, according to President Xi, could bring this thing to a conclusion. He was just speculating. We don't know for sure. But as we move into the weekend and as the country basically closes down, I am reminded of a warning and I guess, admonition from one of our great presidents, FDR.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Makes sense, right? There is some concern out there that perhaps some of this has been unduly highlighted by a media that wants to hurt President Trump for re-election. And how do you do that? By ruining the economy along the way. Fortunately, we had a positive day. Look, it's a real thing, this coronavirus, but would the media be covering it in this manner if they had a president more to their liking, if it were Hillary Clinton? I think it's an issue, not the prime issue, but it's an issue. Stay with us. Much more on Corona, on politics. I think you'll enjoy it. See you in a little bit.
We need more than a fox to guard the liberal media. Turn to the smart, conservative news that you can trust. Newsmax. Real news for real people. Newsmax cuts through the noise to deliver the inside look and breaking stories you can trust. No bias, no BS. Unintimidated and unafraid. Every minute, every day. Don't get outfoxed. Get the facts. Newsmax. Real news for real people.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses.